So, hello and welcome to today's session on AI powered Excel. So, what I will be doing today is I'll be sharing some of the use cases on how you can leverage AI tools inside Excel. And that is what the objective is. Before we start, a quick introduction about me. Some of you who may not know me or may see me for the first time, I've been working in finance and FP&A for over 10 years now. And you can see the various roles I've been in across different companies. So I started as an audit executive back in 2010, moved into FP&A in 2013, and had different roles in FP&A, from FP&A analyst to FP&A manager to lead of FP&A at Coursera, which was my recent role. And in 2023, we started FP&A Professionals Institute. And over the last 3.5 years, we have trained more than 6,000 students across, I would say they're based out of more than 100 plus countries. So that is what we do at FP&A Professionals Institute. We love teaching and training about FP&A and AI for finance. And our flagship program in AI for finance is AI FPA, which is going to commence the next cohort. We have a cohort every quarter, and this will be the ninth cohort. We'll be doing that consecutively over the last 9 quarters. So the next one is starting on 7th of July. I'll talk about that about a little bit at the end of the webinar. But what we'll be doing today is we'll be covering how you can use AI inside Excel. So if you have not used AI add-ins like ChatGPT, Copilot, and Claude inside Excel, this is going to be very useful. And I'll be showing you some different tools and examples which are from our real life cases, or whatever you've seen from our students and our clients. And I'll try to bring some of those use cases and show you how you can leverage AI inside Excel and make yourselves more productive and more, I would say, do your job faster and in much better way. Okay, before I start the session, I'll quickly check in the people who are here. So how many of you are using AI inside Excel? So how many of you are using the either the Claude ribbon inside Excel, or ChatGPT Excel add-in, or the Copilot add-in? So how many of you are using AI with Excel? Just type me in the chat box. I'm not talking about the usual ChatGPT that you use as a chat interface. I'm talking about something which is specifically inside Excel. Okay, so just type me in the chat box if you're already using AI inside Excel. So I understand, based on that, I'll be able to gauge how fast or how slow I need to go. Okay, you can say no, I've not used AI inside Excel. That is also fine. So have you used AI inside Excel? Yes or no? Just let me know in the chat box. Okay, no problem. So you can be honest. So that is why you're here. So that is what I will be covering in today's session. Okay. So in that case, I will go a little slow. So I see if one or two people are using Copilot. So that is great. Not yet, but interested to use from tomorrow. So wonderful. So that is good to hear. Okay. So what I'll be doing in today's session is I'll be covering the basics of how you can use tools like ChatGPT and Claude inside Excel. It applies to Copilot as well. So even if you're using Copilot, you should be able to follow along with us. We'll walk you through the interface on what it looks like, and how you can navigate through the ChatGPT and the Claude Excel add-in interface. And I'll show it to you step by step. And then finally, I have 3 to 4 use cases depending on how much time we have on each of these tools, be it Chat GPT, Claude, using inside Excel. So that is what I have planned for the next 60 to uh, I would say 60 to 90 minutes, and we will be spending good amount of time using AI inside Excel. Okay, so since a lot of you have not used AI inside Excel, so I will go a little bit slower and I'll show you step by step how you can install these tools inside Excel. However, before we get into that, couple of things you need to keep in mind is, one, that you should not be sharing any confidential data of your organization inside public LLMs or publicly open tools. If you are going to use company data, it has to be through enterprise licenses or with company's permission. So for the purpose of learning or for the purpose of using with me, you can use the dummy data set that I'll be providing. However, make sure that you do not use your company data in public or open AI tools. Okay, so that is very important. And second is to be able to follow along with me, you will need at least a minimum of either the Claude Pro or Claude Plus. I don't remember exactly the name. The $20 license, which is called Claude. In case of ChatGPT, is called ChatGPT Plus, which is $20 per month. And in case of Claude, it is called the Claude Pro license, which is again $20 to $21 per month. So both of these both of these tools, if you want to use inside Excel, you will need a paid subscription. At this point, they are not available with the free version. Okay, although you can use the chat gpt tool for free for certain extent till the limits are utilized. However, it's not available inside the Excel. So for you to be able to use inside Excel, you will need the minimum $20 subscription. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share before we start. First, I'll walk you through the Claude Excel add-in. So let me do that first. Okay, while the explanation goes on, I want to make sure that we start you looking at one of the use cases. So what I'll do is I'll also go inside my data sets. Okay, and I wanted to start with one of the most I would say people find this use case to be very useful in terms of how do you convert a large data set uh, into a into a polished dashboard that can be presented to the CEO or the CFO. Okay, so that is what we are going to do first. So first, what I'll do is quickly walk you through this data set. Okay, this is a data set which is running into 10,000 plus rows. Your revenue, cost, and the profit information for your company, which has different products. So it has products like uh, beauty, clothing. So these are different types of products. And then you have different sale channels, offline and online. And then you have volumes. These are different dimensions in the data. These are the different measures. You have number of units sold, unit price, total revenue, total cost, profit, which month the transaction is, and this is basically your data set. Okay, so now what we will do is I'll quickly give it a prompt, and while it is running, I'll explain how the chat gpt interface works. So I'll quickly open the Claude ribbon inside Excel. So if you notice, I clicked on this Claude ribbon, and this ribbon on the right hand side popped up. Okay, I'll be using one prompt which I will share as well. So let me just quickly give this prompt. Okay, I'll explain the prompt in detail in a while, but let me start running this so that this usually takes about 5 to 7 minutes. So once while I am explaining you how the ribbon works, this should run in the background. Okay, so I have given it the prompt. Typically, for a huge data set like this, it takes about 7 to 8 minutes. So we'll give that 7 to 8 minutes, and we'll go back to the slides in the meanwhile. So the ribbon that I was using right now, I'll quickly walk you through that so that you are comfortable when you want to use it for your use case or your data set. So this is what we saw there, which is fairly straightforward. You have your chat interface at the bottom where you can interact with the tool. So here where you see reply, you can type and you can interact with the tool, with the Claude model. So that is where you interact. Then there are some important sections which you should be aware of. So there is one which where you can select different models. So if you drop down or if you select this arrow, if you click on this arrow, you will have an option to select one of these models. I would say the Sonnet one is the oldest one among the listed ones, and the Opus is one which is the more recent one, and the Fable 5 is the most recent one and the most powerful one. For most purposes, the Sonnet 5 model should be good enough. And for complicated tasks, you can use Opus 4.8. Fable 5, I have, in my experience, I haven't seen any um, anything more. than the Opus 4.7 or 4.8. So if you're using Fable 5, you might end up burning more credits. I believe the Fable 5 is more for the coding kind of work where you require more complicated models. So for finance use cases, in most cases, the Sonnet 5 or the Opus 4.7, 4.8 should be good enough. Yeah, however, if you're doing some very detailed like use case, like you're creating some codes for an application or a website, there you may need the Fable 5. Okay, so you can select the model whichever you want. In our case, we will select Opus 4.8 or Fable 5, doesn't matter. But I would recommend Opus over Fable 5 for finance use cases, just to make sure that you don't burn out your credits faster. Okay, so that is a model selector. Next is here you where you have this double arrow or the play button that you see here on the bottom left. You have an option to either um, allow, so you can toggle it on or off. Okay, now if you toggle it on, it means that you are allowing you are allowing Claude to take decisions on its own. And when you toggle it off, it will ask you at every step in terms of wherever the decisions are required to be made. So if you want more control, then you keep it off or you keep it on, and if you want less control, you can turn off the automatic edits. Okay, so that is another important place where you can decide how much control you want on the interaction. Then you have something where you can attach files. So this plus icon that you see where you can attach different files, attachments, photographs, Excel file, PDFs, all of these you can attach. You can also give it reference to a website. You can attach more advanced things like plugin skills, which we'll not be discussing today. However, these here is where you can attach a lot of things and then use that to interact with the LLM. Okay, so that is it. I would not bother about anything else. So these are the three most important sections. Anything over and about, I would quickly cover, but these three are the most important ones. The what you see on the bottom right hand side is the voice input. If you want to use if you want to use your voice instead of typing, you can do that. So if you don't feel like typing, you can interact with the LLM using your voice command as well. So that is a good benefit, just in case if you're not on the keyboard or if you're not if you're driving or something and if you want to still interact with the tool. Then on the top right hand corner, you see this green dot. This is something which I haven't seen it before. So this is something new which Claude has introduced in the last few months, where you can also interact with the other open files in the Excel. So I'll show you the example once we go back to the Excel. So for example, if you have three different Excel files open and right now you are in the first file, you can still interact with the other two files which are open. If you see this green dot and if you click on this and those lists are appearing. Okay, we'll show you that once the command or the prompt completes running. Okay, so this is something which is new, which was not there before. Then you have settings, which I'll not get into too much of detail, where you can ensure that you have the interface looking and feeling like what you want. So this is where you can also download the entire transcript of your conversation. So if you feel like you need to save the entire interaction, you can just download the transcript, because what happens is when you close the Excel file, the chat history disappears. So you will again see a blank ribbon. That's the reason they've given you this download transcript option if you want to just save it. Okay, there are two ways to do it. Either you can download the transcript or you can look at the history. So you can also go back and look at the history. So that those are the two ways you can retrieve your past interactions with the add-in. Okay, I'll take a pause. I'll see and check if there are any comments or any questions in the chat box before we proceed. Okay, and in the center is your built-in skills. So there are some inbuilt skills, which what you see as slash audit dash XLS. These are some built-in skills which you can use if they are relevant to you. Okay, so you can just click on them and then start using those skills, which can be very useful if you are doing that particular task type of a work. Okay, all right. I don't see anything in the chat box yet. So what I'll do is I'll quickly check in my Excel where it has been about 4 to 5 minutes, but I expect it to take more time. Let me see where it has reached. Okay, so if you notice, it is the command that I gave. It has decided what it needs to do. So it's, if you see, it says the table is in good shape. It even has the helper column inside, so there's one calculated column. So what it sees is, here is my plan. I'll create a calculated sheet and create pivot tables and all. Then I'll create the dashboard sheet, which will be a separate sheet. I'll lay out the dashboard, the KPIs and everything, and then I'll start building the charts. I'll start updating the slicers. So it is giving me the detailed steps. Okay. Now, what I have on here is accept edits, but still, because it was the first time, it was waiting for me to confirm these steps. Now, once I confirm these steps, it will start building the dashboard. I will not be doing that now. It'll take another 8 to 10 minutes to do that. So what I'll do is I'll go back to one of the uh, files that I have already run before we started the class, and I'll show you what happened there. Okay, so I should have ideally said yes before we went onto the slide, which I missed. Anyways, I'll go to one of my past interaction with where I have the entire prompt run. Okay, so what it did was, after it giving the 6 or 7 steps, I said, "Shall I?" It asked me, "Should I go ahead?" And I said, "Yes, you can go ahead." Okay, if you want to make any changes here, you can do that. But I felt this was fairly detailed, and this is what I was looking for as well. So I said, "Yes, go ahead." Yeah, and then it started running all those steps. So if you notice, it has created 8 steps, and let me just quickly show you all the steps that it went through. So it went through different steps, and for example, the step number 4 was to verify that the feeds tie out and creating the pivot tables. Okay, these are the pivot tables it created on this particular sheet, which is the calculation sheet. Okay, so it started with just this data and the README sheet, and it populated the calculations and the pivot tables on its own, and it populated the sales dashboard as well as on its own. So if you notice, there's a fairly professional looking dashboard where I can toggle. If I just want to see the east or the north, say revenue, I can just click on the north revenue and everything changes. Again, I can go back and select everything. If I just want to see one of the products, or say if I want to just see the electronic division, I can just click on the electronic and everything updates automatically. So it has done a fairly decent job. Also, it has given me some key insights at the bottom, or the commentaries at the bottom, which I had asked for in the prompt. So that is what it could do. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just start running it, just in case if it is able to do it before the webinar ends. We will take a look. So I'll say yes, and I'll start running it. But this is how it will look when it completes. So it'll create this entire dashboard, and you can interact with it and toggle. And basically, once you are happy with this, you can start using this as well. So that is the first use case I wanted to cover. It is still running in the background, all the 8 steps. Let's see if it is giving you those 8 steps right now. However, this entire process will take about 8 to 10 minutes, even with the Fable 5 model. Okay, so I'm just quickly checking if it is able to give us the 8 steps that I had discussed or had shown, and then we will let it run in the background. Okay, so I see a couple of questions in the chat box. How the Excel being run, how was the Claude added? So let me cover that while the prompt is running. So what I'll do is I will show you how you can add it. So what you need to do is you need to go to the add-ins option here in the home menu. So if you are in your Excel file, you need to go to the add-ins option, and there you can type Claude. Okay. Once you type Claude, you will see this Anthropic logo, which is the orange color logo, and you need to ensure that you download the official version of the Claude add-in, or the ChatGPT add-in, whichever whatever you're downloading, and you can just click on this add button, and it will get added to your Excel. Okay, so it's a fairly quick 1 minute task. Now, let me quickly show you what are the steps that you need to go through for you to be able to add the Excel add-in. And the more important part is you being able to connect your Claude or the ChatGPT license with the add-in. So adding is fairly straightforward. You may take just a click of a button and you can add it, but you may need to connect it to your license. So that is where you might need another couple of minutes. So let me just show you how that works in the background. Okay, so as I mentioned, you need to first of all go to the add-ins in the Excel home menu, which is here. You need to go to the home menu and go to the add-ins. Okay, and then search for Claude or ChatGPT, whatever you are looking for. Okay, and then click on add. Okay, what happens in the background is when you click on this, you search for Claude and you add the Claude, you get this type, this starting point of the ribbon where you need to paste a code, which is basically ensuring that you have a paid license. Okay, so there is a link here at the bottom of the continue button which says browse, or you can just click on this and fetch your code for your pro license if you are logged into the. So you need to ensure that you from the Chrome or from the Internet Explorer you are logged into the Claude license, your pro account, and then you can come here and click on this particular link. Once you click on the link, you need to just follow the steps, which are you need to authorize use of your Claude license inside Microsoft Office, which is what it is. It is going to just confirm it will be having access to all of these things. So you just need to authorize that, meaning the Claude will have access to your files. You need to authorize this, and then once you authorize it, you will get the code, which you can copy it and then paste it in the Excel ribbon. So you can just copy the code and then go back to your Excel ribbon, paste it. Once you say continue, and if you have a paid license, then you should be able to start using Claude, and you will see the interface that we had while we started. This was the Claude process. ChatGPT is very similar, just that instead of Claude, you need to search for ChatGPT. So if you go to add-in, instead of Claude, you search for ChatGPT, and then follow the similar process. You need to be logged into your ChatGPT Pro account, and it'll pick up the code, and then based on that, you should be able to go through. You should be able to add the add-in in your Excel. Yeah, I can share that. So I'll share that in the chat box. Okay, so I've shared the detailed steps how you can add Claude ribbon in your Excel in the chat box. So for those of you who want, you can download it. Okay, I'll go back to the dashboard example that we were looking at. Okay, so if you noticed while we were talking about the ribbon, it has given you the different steps and it has started populating the calculation. So if you notice, it has started populating the pivot tables. I'll go to the, it is go to the dashboard, and now if you see, it has started working on the dashboard. Okay, so if you notice, the dashboard has started populating as well, and it is on step 1 of 8, which is creating sheets and pivot tables. Ideally this is slightly misleading because it is not yet on step, it is not on step 1, it has now moved to step 3 or 4, because I can see the dashboard has started populating. So it is somewhere between step 3 and 4, and it is up creating the dashboard and the calculations and the pivot tables. This is what right now, yeah, it is on step number 4. It is now going to create the charts and the slicers. Okay, we'll give it 60 seconds, see if it is happening quickly. Otherwise, we'll go to the next topic and we'll come back to this in the meanwhile. Okay, so if you notice, it has populated the total revenue number, total profit, profit margin percentage, units sold, and I had given this specifically in the prompt. So let me go back to the prompt. What was the prompt that I gave? Okay, so if you notice, it is asking me some permission. Claude wants to check and clear. So it has created some charts and it wants to just edit it. So I'll allow it to do that. Now, what I'll do is I'll try to see if I can go back to the prompt. I mentioned that we'll look at the prompt. So here is the prompt that I have given. Act as an FP&A analyst. So this is important. I'm giving it some context in terms of giving it a role, acting as an FP&A analyst. My workbook sheet is called data, and I have an Excel table named sales, which is I was talking about this data sheet, and I'm giving it the detailed steps it needs to follow. Create a dashboard with the KPI row with total revenue, profit margin. So this is what I had asked for. Okay, add slicers. So this is based on my experience. So if I had not known how to create it manually, then I would not have given this detailed prompt. I would have just said create a dashboard, and it would have done it based on its own experience. Okay, so if you could just say create a dashboard, and then you will have little control. But if you are able to give it more details, it will be more specific as per your tailored requirement or as per your specific requirement. So if you notice right now, the dashboard is ready, the same dashboard that we saw earlier. You can now filter and be able to see the data based on whatever you want. Okay, so right now I filtered the East region. I can just select all of them, and I can just, if you want to see only the offline or the online revenues and the profit, I can just just select on online and I can see the what is the online portion of the overall revenues. Okay, if I just want to see, say for example, the month of December 2025, I can just select the December 2025 month, and I'll be able to see whatever the profits and revenues are for that particular month. Okay, so this is a fairly a good use case where you can use a large data set like this and then create a dashboard. If you had to do this manually, can you guess how much time would this have taken if you had to do this dashboard manually? Can you just type a guess in the chat box how much time in terms of hours would have taken? Okay, so if you had to create this dashboard manually, how much time would have taken? Just guess. Make a guess in the chat box. Okay, somebody saying 2 days. Okay, so fair enough. Okay, I would say based on your experience, it would have taken anywhere between 4 to 6 hours. If you're very good at Excel, maybe 3 to 4 hours. And if you are, I would say, okay in Excel, or if you are at an intermediate level, it might have taken maybe 6 to 8 hours based on where you are in Excel. Okay, now right now it took just less than 8 minutes or 10 minutes, and it was near use quality. So I would not say this is 100% perfect. I would again spend a good 20 minutes on this and make some changes if I need to. But I have still saved, even if I spent 10 minutes on creating through AI and another 20 minutes reviewing and correcting it, I have still saved good amount of time. I would suppose I have saved maybe more than 3 to 4 hours by using the AI tool. Okay, so this was the first use case. I'll take a pause here. I'll see if there are any comments, any questions before I proceed to the next one. Okay, all right. So we have looked at one use case using Claude. Now what I'll do is I'll show you one use case with ChatGPT as well, so that you understand how it works. That works as well. I have a very popular use case which we use in our CGFPA program, which is a 13-week cash flow forecast. What I'll do is I'll quickly walk you through what it is. Let me open the blank version of it as well. So this is what the file contains. If I'm opening the blank template of the cash flow forecast, what usually it has is it has some historical data for the previous weeks. So this is a week by week cash flow forecast, and I need to forecast the next 13 weeks based on the historical data. And this is a case study that we have usually use in the CDFPA program, where we have the different, um, I would say, the business conversations, or what are the different conversations that has happened. So what are the different types of one-time receipt? What are the disbursements, salary payments, raw material purchase, office rent, etc. Right? What interest is paid every month on the loan. So all of these details are given to you uh, in this particular document. So what I've done is I've created a prompt using this document, and I'll be using that prompt in my ChatGPT add-in now. So I'm not using Claude, I'm now using the ChatGPT add-in. Okay, and I will use my blank template of the 13-week cash flow forecast, and then I'll go to my prompt that I have used before. And this prompt is based on the case study that I just showed you. I'm just giving all the details to, to the to the tool via the prompt. Okay, so I'm just pasting the prompt. I'll quickly read the prompt as well. So why once I click on OK. Here, the ChatGPT ribbon is slightly different. You don't have the models. You have to select either fast, standard, or heavy. We'll talk about that. But first of all, let me just keep it on fast and just hit enter so that it starts working in the background while I'm explaining you the interface. Okay, so the ChatGPT interface is fairly similar, or I would not, I would say look and feel is very similar. However, there's some different elements that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so this is what it looks like, the ChatGPT add-in, and it has a very similar drop down where you had models in the Claude. Here you have an option to toggle between heavy, fast, and standard. Very similar. It also gives you right what you need to use for worst. So heavy is for most complicated tasks where you need require reasoning and all. Okay, so if you are doing some complicated analysis, or if you're doing analysis over a large data set, I would keep it on heavy. Fast is in between, and then standard is in between, and then fast is if you just need quick responses. If you're just chatting back and forth, then I would keep it on fast. Okay, so ideally for this particular case, I should have either kept it on standard or heavy. I should not have kept it on fast, but let's see what happens while it is running on the fast. Okay, so this is where you can select the model, not the model, but how you want, which based on this it'll pick the model automatically. So that is the most important button or the toggle which you need to select. Then you have your, which is the pencil icon, where if you want to start a fresh conversation, you can just create a new chat. So it is basically a button to create a new chat. Then the plus is very similar to Claude, where you can upload different items, upload files, PDFs, Excel, skills, apps. So this is a place where you can attach documents and skills and everything where you need it to interact with. So I could have also used that PDF attachment that I showed you instead of typing the prompt. I could have just attached the PDF document, and I could have said that follow the instructions in the attached PDF and update the 13-week cash flow forecast. That could have also worked. Okay, so that was another option. Okay, then you have these three dots where you can go inside and look at the detailed settings. I'll not get into that. Basically, you can just see how you can update the appearance and everything, look and feel of the ribbon. Uh, Again, you have some suggested prompts to start, like you had in the plot ribbon as well. So based on your worksheet, it is giving you some suggested prompts or some starting point which you can use as a prompt. Okay, if you want to use it, you can just click on it and you can just press this arrow button. Okay, so that is fairly straightforward, the chat ribbon. I'll go back to the prompt that we were looking at. Okay, so if you notice, it has started populating the cash flow forecast. Right? It has already started populating and it has populated till the month of November. Now it has completed the entire forecast. Also, it has given you the assumptions below the i- immediately below the forecast, and also it has given you the working, the debt schedule, and the forecast controls. Right, so it has done some checks and balances as well, and it has updated the forecast fairly quickly. I would say it has done it in less than 5 minutes. Now I'll just quickly compare, because forecast is subjective, right? It all depends on the assumptions, but I'll still check with what I have it in my final version. So I have downloaded the final version of the file. I'll just quickly cross check how it looks overall in terms of the numbers versus the final numbers. Okay, so I'll just go and I'll say 13-week cash flow forecast final file. Okay, so I'll just quickly compare how it. This is what I had done manually, or I had done it with the use of Excel formulas. Okay, so I can see that the numbers are fairly consistent from what I had. It will not be exactly the same. For example, in the row number 10, I have assumed 50,000, 60,000, 40,000. Uh, it has assumed 50,000 flat, which is an assumption, which you can change it here. If you want to change that 50,000, you can just change it and this will get updated. Okay, so more or less the forecast has been done. So if you notice, the ending balance is exactly the same for the first month or similar. Here you have a 10,000 gap. Again, this is a forecast. This is not something which is going to be 100% same what you do. But you can look at this forecast, and now instead of building from scratch, what you can do is you can review the assumptions and make changes, and the forecast gets updated automatically. So for example, if I want to change this deposit per new enterprise client, I can make a change. It says 20,000 per client. I can make that 22,000, and it will get automatically updated here in the file. If I notice some error, I can make that change. Even in spite of if it makes couple of errors, it is going to save you a lot of time. If I had to do this manually, I would say it would have taken me about 25 to 30 minutes. It did this in less than 2 minutes, so I can just spend another 2 minutes to check, and then still I've saved a good 20 minutes on the creating of this particular forecast. Okay, so this was the second use case I wanted to share, where I had uploaded the historical data. I had uploaded some details about the business context of what are the different receipts and payments that are usually happening. And based on that, it helped me update the cash flow forecast for the next 13 weeks, which is called the 13-week cash flow forecast. So this is where I will see again and check if there are any comments, any questions. Okay, so what I would do is, in the interest of time, I'll just quickly cover one last use case. Okay, so there's a question, how to craft prompts. So let me quickly show you one framework which I use very frequently. So let me see if I have that framework handy. Okay, so I will show you that how do you craft prompts through one of my examples that I'm going to cover next. Okay, so this is a very good framework that I use to create prompts. So these are the 6 parts. If you ensure that you have at least 5 or 4 or 5 of these 6 parts, eventually you will have a decent prompt or a very good prompt. Okay, so first one is the context. You need to tell Chat GPT or Claude or Copilot what is the background, or what is the purpose of your. So, for example, what are you doing? In my next example, I am going to do a price volume mix analysis. So I'll type the context. Okay, using this data, I want to conduct a price volume mix analysis. Okay, assign a role. So you can assign a role like FP&A analyst, FP&A manager, or a CFO based on what task you're doing. If you're doing something which is calculation heavy, you can say FP&A analyst. It helps giving ChatGPT more context and background in terms of how it needs to act. Okay, then you need to define the task in as much detail as possible. So I would say this is the most important part. Even if you don't do one and two, but if you do the third section more carefully, which is where I gave the detailed. Okay, your task is to build a revenue bridge to decompose the total variance into price. So I'm giving it a very detailed step by step instruction. I can also say, okay, step number one is this, step number, like I did in the dashboard example. Okay, I gave it five different steps and I listed them one by one. So this is, I would say, the most important uh, portion of your. Then you need to reference what data you need to use. Since we are using Excel, I don't think this is required because your admin knows what data you're using because it's in the same workbook. However, if you're not using Excel, if you're using the tool with the chat interface, then you need to also provide what data it needs to use. So does it need to use the attached data, or does it need to go to the internet and search, or does it need to rely on its past training data? Okay, so you need to specify which data it should pick, especially if you're not using it inside Excel. Okay, you need to mention the constraints. So you can mention things like the length of the output. You can talk about the tone. Does it need to be in a friendly tone? Does it need to be in a professional tone? Does it need to be in a casual tone? Things it should watch out. So if you have noticed in the past it has made some mistakes, you can add those to the constraint and say, make sure you don't make these mistakes, or make sure that you add some checks and balances to ensure you are not making any calculation errors. Okay, so something like that on the constraints you can add. And then finally, you can specify the output format, whether you need a chart, whether you need a table, whether you need a PowerPoint, whether you need a Word file, whether you need a Excel file, whatever the format you need to mention that. And if you cover all of these parts, or if you keep in mind all of these parts, you should have a good prompt. Okay, now I'll show you. Yes, so I'll share you how you can access all of these materials as well. So just hold on for next 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll share how you can access all of these. So let me quickly spend another 5 minutes on the next example, which is the price volume mix analysis. So what I'll do is I'll open up a blank file, and if you want, you can follow along with me for this one. I'll share the blank file with you. Okay, so let me share this blank file with you so that if you want to follow with me, you can do that. I'm opening this blank file and I'll first of all give you some context on what the file has. Okay, so this file has two data. One is the budget information and the bottom it has the actual information. So if you notice there are three different products which you have the budgeted revenue and the same data for the actuals. Okay, so your budget was 88 million and your actual revenue is 83 million. You can clearly see that your actual revenue is 5 million behind the budgeted revenue, and what you're doing right now is you're trying to analyze how do you or where is your 5 million difference coming from. Is it coming because you were uh, producing less number of or less volume, or because the price change, or because the FX rate changed, or because the mix change between the products in the budget and the actuals. Okay, so these are the three or four areas where the difference could come from. Either it could be due to the price change, either it could be due to the volume change, or it could be to the change in the FX rate. Okay, so I have noted down all of those areas here. Okay, if you notice, these are the price related to the oil and gas, each of the product. This is volume related to each of the products. This is FX rate related to. So I have asked it to create a work which is 88 million, and how is this difference coming, or how you can split this difference, which is the difference of 5.8 point some million dollars, okay, $5.2 million between all of these areas. Okay, this is one of the classic analysis that you do as a person while you're doing your month end closes. So what I'll do is I'll again go to my prompt list. Okay, I'll pick up my prompt. I'm saying perform. For this I'll use Claude. You can use ChatGPT as well. I think both of them will give you similar results. So I'll say perform price volume mix analysis. So if I wanted to use that framework, what I'll do is I'll go back to the framework. I'll give it context. Okay, so context is perform price volume mix um analysis. That is the context, and also I'll say use the data. So this is the context. Use the data in the use the or I'll say I'm for the context. I'll say I am doing budget versus actual variance analysis. So that is the context. Next step is your role. I would then say act as analyst. Okay, and then the task is perform your price volume mix analysis. Okay, and that is the task. And data, I'm not again because I'm using it in the Excel. I don't have to talk about data. Constraints, I can say about constraints. Okay, so I can add ensure the bridge ties. Okay, I want to make sure that it is reconciled properly. If that is one of the things I could mention in constraints. Output is already mentioned. You need the commentary and the waterfall chart. So this is the output format. So I'll use you could use Opus 4.8 or Fable 5, whatever you want. I'll just click on enter here, and let's see how much time this takes. 7:18 right now. I'll just quickly take a look at the watch, and I presume this is usually 2 minutes for ChatGPT or Claude. Okay, so it says it is decomposing the price, volume, mix variance, deciding how to decompress volume versus mix effects across the product. It is doing something behind the scenes. If you can see that here. Okay, so while it is working on the data, let me quickly share what I'm expecting as an output. So I'm expecting it to fill up these tables and then create a waterfall chart walking from the 88.4 million to 83.4 or 83.3 million, and show me that in the waterfall chart how much is coming from price, how much is coming from volume, how much is coming from FX, and how much is coming from the mix. So that is what I am expecting. Usually it takes a couple of minutes. I don't know why it is taking a little bit more time, but I have the output ready, which I had run just before the session. So I can just show you that in the interest of time. So it take about 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't take a lot of time for this particular give you the summary in terms of what it did in terms of the formulas and all. So it updated all of these numbers, created the waterfall chart, and also gave you the commentaries at the bottom. Okay. I'll just go back and see if this is now it has updated the bridge and how it is working on the working on the waterfall chart. So I just want to make sure that these numbers are accurate. So I'll open one of my files where I've done this manually. So I'll go back and see if these numbers are making sense in terms of what I have, what I was expecting. So this is a detailed explanation we have for the CGFPA program where I explain how these variances are calculated step by step. And I'll just quickly check from that particular file if the numbers are matching. Okay, so if your price variance overall is just trying to see where the numbers are at the bottom. Okay, so I can just quickly see my price variance is 8.8, and if you add all this up, it's looking very close. Just quickly make sure that it is exactly the same. Yeah, so 850 is what you got here. Similarly, volume variance looks to be exactly the same which I have there. So it is 5.8 or 58, 5.8 million. And then FX variance is 4.6, which you have exactly here. And then the mix variance is 3 million. So the numbers have been fairly accurate. Let's see if it is now being able to create the waterfall chart as well. Okay, so if you were doing this 6 months back, it could not create the waterfall chart properly. But now I believe it is trying to do that. Let's see if it is able to do that. Okay, anyways, we'll not spend more time here. So this is how it should come up as a waterfall chart where it will show you the breakup of price, volume, FX, and mix. It is going down, then it is red. If it is going up, it is green. Okay, that is how it is color coded the bars as well. Okay, so this is where I will stop and take a pause. Um, and I'll go back to my original presentation. Okay, so what you've learned today is I've shown you inside Excel how you can use different AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude. These were just a couple of use cases that I had shared. However, if you want to practice this in detail, there are ways where you can join us with for the AI for Finance and FP&A program, which is starting in April. So what we'll do in the AI for Finance and program is there are going to be 5 sessions of 2 hours each, and where we will be covering 25 plus use cases. So you just saw a couple of them. We have 25 plus use cases where we will show you how you can use AI and implement it in your day-to-day task, along with use case data sets, along with prompts, along with step-by-step guidance. And we'll be covering tools including Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, a couple of other tools as well, which is if you're using Google Workspace, and Gemini is equally important. So we'll have some coverage of Gemini and a tool called Manus AI as well. So Manus AI was acquired by Meta recently and gaining a very is gaining a lot of popularity as an agentic AI tool. These are the 5 popular tools that we cover, and we do that through 25 plus use cases. I believe 25 is an old number. We've added, I think, more use cases in the last few months as well. So I would say it's now more than 30, 35 use cases, and we'll be doing that over the period of August, 4 weeks. So if you're interested, you can reach out to us. I'll be sharing the links of the classes as well with you, and you could join that if you are interested in going through in this much detail. Okay, so there is another quick thing I wanted to share. So if you wanted to access the files and everything, so we have now come up with our community place where you can access all of these at one place. I'm just checking if I have the link handy. So this way fairly new. So we're still adding our alumni there as well. So let me go back to the so, what you can, so all of these webinars that we do, we usually plan to put it here in the classroom section of the community, where you can go inside and you can watch the recordings of the webinar if you want to revisit all of these again, and also download all the resources related to the webinar, be it the PDF, be it the slides related to the session, be it the prompts. So I think this is going to be good if you want to refer the webinar. So today's webinar will also come here along with the video recording and all the resources that we have shared. So I'll share this link with you. Once you click on the link, you will have to create an account with this tool, which is called school.com. And once you create an account, it'll come for an approval to me, and I'll approve it. And then you will get an access to the community. Also, here you can interact with other members of our community, and all of us are your FP&A or people who are working in FP&A or people who are wanting to get into FP&A. So this is a good place where you can find all the resources which are especially related to the webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye.